Welcome back to the Realm Report. It's been a pretty relaxed month as we've had several new oldies getting acclimated to the old world, so let's jump right into the topics. New Canaan has been hosting a Skyscraper themed build competition this month over in their area. Given the scale of the builds for this one, along with it being a shorter month, they decided to extend it through March in order to give everyone plenty of time to work on their projects. So if you're joining late, there's definitely plenty of time to head on over and add a build of your own. After this one ends, we'll be taking a short break from build competitions for at least 1 or 2 months, so I encourage you to head on over and get involved with this one. Just reach out to Half-Assed Guy if you'd like to claim a plot. For those who may be unaware, several of the builds located over in
Gfx
are actually based on real-world locations. Towards the end of last month, Plegue Doctor set up several lecterns around the community for anyone interested in taking a self-guided tour and reading up on some of the history behind these different castles and fortresses. There are currently 8 lecterns available, with plans to make more as new builds are added. It's actually a pretty cool idea, so be sure to head on over and check out each of the books. I wanted to take a moment to speak on the topic of server lag, as we were having a lot of issues with it, particularly at the start of the month. There are many contributing factors that go into lag, so this month I put together a group to do some testing in an alternative copy of the old world using a different hosting service. After running a few experiments, it seemed that for the most part the other server had a higher threshold for lag, and I decided that a transition was probably in our best interest. So in case you're watching this but you haven't actually been on the old world in a while, you'll want to verify that you have the updated information. However, simply switching server hosts will not entirely solve the problem. I've spent a good amount of time this month speaking to some knowledgeable people in an effort to gain a greater understanding of what could be contributing to the lag on the server. I've reached the conclusion that the majority of the lag we're dealing with at this point is primarily player created. When I say that, I'm not implying that someone is deliberately lagging the server. I believe there's a difference between ignorance and negligence, and those causing the issues may simply be unaware of how their actions are affecting others. You want to be mindful when playing in a world with other people that everything you do has an impact on server performance. Things you may not even be thinking about at the time, like how many mobs you have crammed into a certain area, or leaving a lot of entities behind while mining, can all take a toll on how well the server performs to some degree. Bedrock servers in particular are poorly optimized, so we need to compensate on our end to try and mitigate as many of these issues as possible. It's not about placing limitations on ourselves, but instead playing smarter for the overall benefit of the server. Take for example something like villagers. Villagers are known to be one of the more lag-inducing mobs in Minecraft with all the AI that goes into them. If one person online has 30 or so villagers loaded, and then another person hops on and loads in an additional 40, it doesn't take long for all of that to start adding up. But if each person were to space their villagers out more, it would lead to a reduction in how many are being loaded in at one time, and cut down on some of that lag. Obviously, that's just one example of something you could do to help the situation, but there are plenty others out there. Reducing the lag on the server is going to be a bigger priority moving forward, so if you're at all concerned that you may be contributing to the issue, feel free to reach out about having someone take a look at your area. The ultimate goal here is just to educate people and improve the quality of life in the old world. As we head into March, we're nearing the start of the next Swimball season. During the off-season, Half-Assed Guy has been reviewing different aspects of the game and making certain changes in an effort to keep it balanced and work around some of the technical limitations we discovered in 2023. We've held a few scrimmage matches that have tested out a few of these concepts, but for the most part, these changes will be debuting at the start of the 2024 season. For the veteran players, I wanted to address some of these changes now, because I can definitely see Princess screwing this up and getting the capital creepers unnecessary penalties. First, the format of the game has transitioned from 2 7.5-minute halves to 4 4-minute quarters. Between each quarter, all players who have actively participated in the game will log out and then immediately rejoin the server. This is to help combat some of the issues with stickiness that were a recurring problem for us last season. The scoring system has received an overhaul as well, where last season the winner of the game would be decided by whichever team was the first to score 7 points. Now each game will go the full duration, with teams being able to score as many points as they can within the 16 minutes of playtime. However, if a team is down by 7 or more points and don't feel that they can come back from that, they'll still have the option to forfeit the match. The pass to self option has been removed from the game. While this was a very popular strategy last season, it did tend to just give the stickiest players an additional benefit. Since Swimball is a team game, the ball will need to be passed to another player before that player can touch the ball again. The goal zones at each arena are being expanded in order to increase the difficulty of scoring a goal. In addition, players recovering the ball within their own goal zone will have the option to move around with the ball in order to avoid accidentally scoring on themselves. However, once the ball has left the goal zone, the standard movement rules apply. For the most up-to-date rules, I recommend reviewing the official Swimball wiki page, as Half-Ass Guy recently updated it to include these changes. It also covers many of the more in-depth rules. To anyone still on the fence about Swimball, I highly encourage you to at least give the game a shot. The majority of oldies do tend to enjoy it once they've tried it, and it'll only continue to improve from here. The more players who are actively involved in the league, the more we can expand it, which means that communities who aren't currently represented could potentially get their own teams sometime down the road. We'll circle back to that later, but for now, feel free to reach out if you want to learn the basics of the game. This month's photo contest was Majestic Mountains. Basically, any photo submitted needed to include some sort of mountainous terrain somewhere in the old world. We've had some of the best submissions I think we've seen so far for this one, and I honestly had a difficult time selecting my two favorites. The winning photo this month was submitted by Chozo, so if you voted for this one, be sure to stop by the gallery and pick up a copy when it becomes available following the next Multi-World Monday. Princess hosted the Yacht Club drawing on February 27th, and as usual, the results were met with a fair share of criticism. Now, I have no idea why I keep winning this thing, and while I can neither confirm nor deny the legitimacy of the Yacht Club drawing, I can promise you that I have absolutely nothing to do with the Yacht Club outside of partaking in some of their great amenities. So rather than trying to convince you that the drawing isn't rigged, I've decided to explain why you should be happy that I keep winning it over and over again. First, I'm the absolute last person that Princess would ever want to win the drawing, and trolling Princess is one of the more popular hobbies here in the old world. What makes it even better is that each month she streams the results live, so you can literally experience the buildup of dread, followed by the immediate disappointment in her voice when she realizes it's my number.
You've got to be kidding me. This thing is rigged. Number 3 is actually white. Again, I don't even have the words. You guys saw it here.
Second, my shop has not made a sale in the past 3 years, and I have yet to win the photo contest, so these drawings are my primary source of income for the time being. And finally, I recently lost a court case in which I disputed the use of my likeness in a photo that was taken by Princess. In addition to paying a ton in legal fees, I received no revenue from the photo, so this could simply be karma's way of correcting an injustice. But I hope these results don't discourage anyone from participating in the Yacht Club drawing. Realistically, I can't win all the time, although if I do, it'll be hilarious. On February 4th, we held the Dome Grand Prix 2024. This was our first opportunity to try out the upgraded racetrack that Peculiar had put together. This was definitely an interesting event in that it didn't go at all the way I had anticipated. Chozo and Zulu were favored to have a rematch in the final round, but neither one of them managed to crack the top 3. At one point, it seemed like Half-Assed Guy was going to win the whole event, but he ended up placing 3rd again, which he had previously done in both the Aquarius and the Island Grand Prix for 2023. BMX placed 2nd, while Peculiar took the 1st place spot, winning his 2nd Grand Prix overall. We'll probably cut down on the number of laps we do for this track moving forward. The way this one is set up, each race ran a little longer than necessary and ended up extending the duration of the event. As for the Mario build competition, Resculin ended up winning for her Nintendo Switch theme build. I had intended on holding a group build earlier in the month to add a bit more to the surrounding area of the track, but unfortunately other things took priority and we didn't get around to it. It's still something I'd like to do at some point because I think there's a lot of untapped potential in really making this place look more like a Mario Brothers or even a Nintendo themed park. On February 25th, we held Snowman's Leaf Spleef 3 over at the Fishbowl. This was a bit of a smaller event than usual, as several people who usually attend got caught up with last-minute obligations. Overall, things ran much smoother than years previous, and we experienced very little lag during the actual matches. This also led to us progressing through each match at a much quicker pace. I actually participated in this one and ended up taking 3rd place. Black Lightning came in 2nd, and unfortunately Princess claimed the 1st place spot, having last won this in 2022, thanks to everyone who joined us for the event. Early next month, we'll be holding another TOW tour. This one will be the second of 2 qualifying matches in the lead up to the Old World Open 2024 in July. I encourage everyone to head on over to the golf course and play through it ahead of time if you're at all interested in giving this event a try. The course is always open, and we have plenty of Ender Pearls available for you to get some practice in before the actual event. We start these Ender Golf events about an hour earlier than our typical start time because they do tend to run pretty long, so I hope to see you at the golf course for the TOW Tour when it's held on March 10th. Next month we'll be holding our 3rd Withering event over at the Dome. This event has become a favorite of many, including myself, so hopefully we can put together a decent-sized group and do battle with even more Withers than we had for the island. Make sure to prepare extensively beforehand, because it's never fun to be eliminated really early on. Trust me, I know from experience. For those joining for the first time, in order to avoid significant damage to the old world, we host these events in an alternative map. Make sure you mark yourself interested in the event, as I'll be using that list to message participants when it's time to drop off all the armor and weapons the night before. With that said, Withering the Dome will be held on March 24th. And that wraps things up for this edition of the Realm Report. See you on the server. Last year we did it with the
red.
we'll do the leaf spleef in the back.
Watch.
Yeah, that looks better.
Don't you with me?
No, we're doing the other angle.
Oh.
Well,
Facing the wrong direction. You're like in front of everybody.